and welcome to the cottage again. We are reading our book, Five Children and It. And Tough Guy's trying to find us. But in all honesty, guys, I will say it is, there comes a time when you should be able to just find your way here, unless you've got connection problems like Shiny, because Shiny just can't move in virtual worlds. But the book reading will always be in the same place, in the cottage here. Reem, you're grey for me. I don't know why, but you could try adjusting an item of clothing, and hopefully that will work. Other than that, if there are no questions, today's reading list so far is April, followed by Eleanor, followed by Moz, then Shiny, then Reem. And we are at the point in the book, if you're looking for it, here, there were some swings. Okay. Oh, sorry to hear about that, Shiny. I hope you're safe. Yeah. The weather seems to be really weird at the moment. Really weird. Okay, so April, whenever you're ready to start reading, if you would like to begin.
Okay.
In this scene, I'm right behind you.
Stop! Shut up!
Yeah,
Are you afraid?
Could you mute? Because April's going to start reading, please. Thank you.
No, I can say. Shut up to dope. Okay, we are in a fair. I think in this book now.
There were some swings.
Yeah, I hope that is no karting there. There were some swings, and a hooting-tooting blaring merry-go-round, and a shooting gallery and Aunt Sally's. Resisting an impulse to win a coconut, or at least to attempt the enterprise, Cyril went up to the woman who was loading little guns before the array of glass bottles on strings against a sheet of canvas. "Here you are, little gentleman," she said. "Penny a shot." "No, thank you," said Cyril. "We are here on business, not on pleasure." "Who is the master?" "The what?" "The master, the head, the boss of the show." "Over there," she said, pointing to a stout man in a dirty linen jacket who was sleeping in the sun. "But I don't advise you to wake him sudden. His temper's contrary, especially these hot days. Better have a shot while you are waiting." "It's rather important," said Cyril. "It will be very profitable to him. I think he'll be sorry if we take it away." "Oh, if it's money in his pocket," said the woman. "No kid now. What is it?" "It's a giant." "You are kidding?" "Come along and see," said Antia. The woman looked doubtfully at them. Then she called to a ragged little girl in a striped stockings and a dingy white petticoat that came below her brown frock, and leaving her in charge of the shooting gallery, she turned to Antia and said, "Well, hurry up, but if you are kidding, you'd best say so. I'm as mild as milk myself, but my Bill, he's a fair terror," and Antia led the way to the barn. "It really is a giant," she said. "He's a giant little boy in a suit like my brother's there. And we didn't bring him up to the fair because people do stare so, and they seem to go into kind of standing up fits when they see him. And we thought perhaps you'd like to show him and get pennies, and if you like to pay us something, you can, only it'll have to be rather a lot, because we promised him he should have a double share of whatever we made." The woman murmured something indistinct, of which the children could only hear the words "swap me," "pal me," and "crumpet," which conveyed to no definite idea to their minds. She had taken Antia's hand and was holding it very firmly, and Antia could not help wondering what would happen if Robert should have wandered off or turned his proper size during the interval. But she knew that the Samoyeds' gifts really did last till sunset, however inconvenient their lasting might be, and she did not think, somehow, that Robert would care to go out alone while he was that size. When they reached the barn and Cyril called "Robert," there was a stir among the loose hay, and Robert began to come out. His hand and arm came first, then a foot and leg. When the woman saw the hand, she said, "My!" But when she saw the foot, she said, "Upon my word!" And when by slow and heavy degrees the whole of Robert's enormous bulk was at last disclosed, she drew a long breath and began to say many things, compared with which Balmy and Crumpet seemed quite ordinary. She dropped into understandable English at last. "What'll you take for him?" she said excitedly. "Anything in reason. We'd have a special van built. Oh, a special van built. Leastways, I know where there is a second-hand one would do up handsome with a baby elephant head as died. What'll you take? He's soft, ain't he? Them giants mostly is, but I never see. No, never. What'll you take? Down on the nail. We'll treat him like a king and give him first-rate grub and a dose fit for a bloomin' doke. He must be dirty or he wouldn't need you kids to cart him about. What'll you take for him?"
Very
They
good.
won't take anything.
Well done. Awesome. Well done. Very nicely read. Really good. And well done with the very difficult little sort of asides, the exclamations that she was making. Balmy, crumpet. I've never heard anybody say crumpet as a sort of exclamation. Maybe it was back then when the book was written, it was a normal one. Okay, just the two words here. Okay. And the first one, we don't spell it like that anymore. I don't know if it's a misspelling in Gutenberg, but we don't spell it with an I anymore. But it's contrary. Okay. Now, some people also say contrary. And we learn that as children with the rhyme, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? Okay, so contrary or contrary? Try it.
Contrary.
Yes, contrary to popular belief. But you can also be contrary. And if you are contrary, that's when we say contrary. If you're always contradicting things, if you're always saying, no, I don't want to, then you might be described as contrary. Okay? So you've got contrary to popular belief, contrary, opposite in nature. But if you've got the perverse side to disagree, we tend to say contrary. Okay?
Oh, they have the different meaning.
Yep, same words. They're both adjectives.
This is...
Yeah. You should know this one, Elinor, because we also use it in logic.
Yeah. And you corrected me once. It's my
oh my
mistake.
Goodness, did
Yeah.
I?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember when exactly, but I have it in my notes.
I don't remember at all, but okay. I'm scared of your notes. And then the next one is just ordinary. Ordinary.
Ordinary.
That's it. It's just an ordinary word. Very good. Well done. Then just a little note for everybody. Again, these books tend to be written in slightly older English, or it was a misspelling, but we don't say coconut, we say coconut, because they're nothing to do with cocoa. Okay, so it's just coconut without the A. Okay.
I didn't think of cocoa when I was reading that word. I think I was just thinking of coconut, not
Yeah,
cocoa.
exactly. But if you notice in the book, it does say cocoa nut, and we just would not say it like that. Okay. Oh, I've just realised I've got Skype open. Let me just quit Skype. I'm getting beep messages. Okay, I'm just getting blip messages. Somebody trying to contact me. Sorry, guys. When there's a session on, that's it. Okay, so nicely read, and the next person to read on the list is Eleanor. So, Eleanor, I know you're always paying attention whenever you're ready.
It's working. What do you take for him? She said excitedly. Anything in reason. We'd have a special van built. Leastways, I know where there's a...
Have you read that? They went
sorry,
you were not paying attention, Eleanor.
Now, did you notice?
No, but...
That's only because I said, Eleanor, I know you're always paying attention, so would you...
but where are we? Sorry.
They won't take the
next paragraph.
Yeah.
The next paragraph.
Sorry.
They won't. Yeah, they won't.
Okay. They won't take anything, said Robert Stanley. I'm no more soft than you are. Not so much. I shouldn't wonder. I come and be a show for today if you'll give me. He hesitated at the enormous price he was about to ask. If you'll give me 15 shillings. Done, said the woman, so quickly that Robert felt he had been unfair to himself and wished he had asked 30. Come on now, and see my bill, and we'll fix a price for the season. I dessay you might get as much as £2 a week regular. Come on, and make yourself as small as you can for gracious sake. This was not very small, and the crowd gathered quickly, so that it was at the head of an enthusiastic procession that Robert entered the trampled meadow where the fair was held, and passed over the stubby yellow dusty grass to the door of the biggest tent. He crept in, and the woman went to call her bill. He was the big sleeping man, and he did not seem at all pleased at being awakened. Silly, watching through a slit in the tent, saw him scowl and shake a heavy fist and sleepy head. Then the woman went on speaking very fast. Silly had, "'Struth, and biggest draw you ever so help me," and he began to share Robert's feeling that 15 shillings was indeed far too little. Bill slouched up to the tent and entered. When he beheld the magnificent proportions of Robert, he said but little. "Strike me pink," were the only words that the children could afterwards remember, but he produced 15 shillings, many in sixpences and coppers, and handed it to Robert. "You fix up about what you to draw when the show's ever tonight," he said with hoarse heartiness. "Lord laugh a duck, you'll be that happy with us you'll never want to leave us. Can you do a song now, or a bit of a breakdown?" "Not today," said Robert, rejecting the idea of trying to sing, as once in May, a favourite of his mother's, and the only song he could think of at the moment. "Get Levy and clear them blooming photos out. Clear the tent. Stick out a curtain or soothing." The man went on. "Law, what a pity we ain't got no tides," he sighs, "but we'll have 'em before the week's out. Young man, your fortune's made. It's a good thing you came to me, and not to some chaps as I could tell you on. I've known blacks as beat the giants and stuff 'em too. So you'll tell you straight, you in luck this day if you never was afore. 'Cause I'm a lamb, I am. and I don't deceive you. I'm not afraid of anyone beating me, said Robert, looking down on the lamb. Robert was crouched on his knees because the tent was not big enough for him to stand upright in, but even in that position he could still look down on most people. But I'm awfully hungry. I wish you'd get me something to eat. Here, Pekka, said the horse Bill. Get him some grub. The best you've got, mind. Another whisper followed, of which the children only had down in black and white, first thing tomorrow. Then the woman went to get the food. It was only bread and cheese when it came, but it was delightful to the large and empty Robert. And the man went to post sentinels round the tent to give the alarm if Robert should attempt to escape with his 15 shillings. As if we weren't honest, said Antia indignantly, when the meaning of the sentinels dawned on her. Then began a very strange and wonderful afternoon. Bill was a man who knew his business. In a very little while, the photographic views, the spy-glasses you look at them through so that they really seem rather real, and the lights you see them by, were all packed away. A curtain, it was an old red and black carpet really, was run across the tent. Robert was concealed behind, and Bill was standing on a trestle table outside the tent making a speech. It was a rather good speech. It began by saying that the giant it was his privilege to introduce to the public that day was the eldest son of the Emperor of San Francisco, compelled through an unfortunate love affair with the Duchess of the Fiji Islands to leave his own country and take refuge in England, the land of liberty, where freedom was the right of every man, no matter how big he was. It ended by the announcement that the first 20 who came to the tent door should see the giant for 3d apiece. After that, said Bill, the prize is raised, and I don't undertake to say what it won't be raised to. So now's your time.
Very good, well done.
As dialect, it's swallowing
Yes.
ages.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, the price will rise, of course.
Yeah, rise.
And I won't tell you how much it might rise to. So now is your time. But now's your time. Well done. People would say it like that. Now's your time. Yeah. Yeah is your. Okay. So well done with the dialect. It's tricky, I know, but honestly, people still do speak like that. They truly do.
There was also the swelp, so help.
Yeah, swelp me. Okay, so couple of words. The first one is just getting that T at the end, the T sound, because otherwise it sounds like B. So beat.
Beat.
Yes,
Yeah, now
yes.
it's easy.
Then again, the T at the end, the tent. Not what you. Sorry, no, not the T at the end. It was you let the infect the tent. So you said the vent. It's the tent. Try it.
The tent.
That's it, the tent. And then leave.
Leave. I don't know it.
Yeah, leave is a long E. Okay.
Leave.
That's
Yeah.
better. Like leaf, leave, live. Okay. And then of course you got live. Because we like confusing people.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you get a smiley for meaning.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was a very silly.
But it's great because I realised, because I was thinking, oh, no, she's not realised, but you did. And you realised because you realised that it didn't fit the context. And that's really good, because that means you're paying attention and you're understanding the context of the words, not just reading the words. So well done. Well done. Okay.
I dare say.
You dare say. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Stubby. Artem's got a couple of questions. Stubby, we use it to describe somebody quite short. Okay. Or something quite short. In fact, Australians use it to describe small beers. Have you got a stubby? Yeah, pass us a stubby. But stubby can also mean short and a little stout, maybe. Okay.
Is.
Okay, and then slouched up to, it's a way of approaching somebody. If you slouch, you're not standing upright, you're not standing with your shoulders back and your head raised. When you slouch, you sort of crunch over yourself a little bit, and it might imply in this context that they were being a little sneaky, a little trying to hide something. Yeah. So they walk, instead of saying walked up to, they're describing the way the person sort of sidled up to them, sort of, hello, what do I... They're whispering and they're keeping secrets. Okay? Yes, well done, indeed. Eleanor does a document, keeps it up to date every week, of the trickier words. So it's always worth checking in there. Okay? But you can also ask here as well, of course. And then, yes, dessay is I dare say, and struth, it's, again, that's kind of an Australian slang nowadays. Struth. It's like saying, oh my goodness, or what on earth? It's an exclamation of surprise. Okay, April?
I didn't know it's Australian, you know.
Yeah. No, I've got an Australian friend and he says, oh, struth. Have you seen what's happened today? Okay. Okay, so next person to read is Moz. Moz, are you ready?
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Okay. I hope I'm not lost. A young man with his sweetheart on her afternoon out was the first to come forward. For this occasion, his was the princely attitude, no expense spared, money no object. His girl wished to see the giant. Well, she should see the giant, even though seeing the giant cost 3 pence. Each and the other entertainments were all penny ones. The flap of the tent was raised. The couple entered. Next moment, a wild shriek from the girl thrilled through all present. Bill slapped his leg. That's done the trick, he whispered to Becca. It was indeed a splendid advertisement of the charms of Robert. When the young girl came out, she was pale and trembling, and a crowd was round the tent. What was it like? Asked a farmhand. Oh, horrid! You wouldn't believe, she said. It's as big as a barn, and that fierce. It froze the blood in my bones. I wouldn't have missed seeing it for anything. The fierceness was only caused by Robert's trying not to laugh, but the desire to do that soon left him, and before sunset he was more inclined to cry than laugh, and more inclined to sleep than either. For by ones and two and threes, people kept coming in all the afternoon, and Robert had to shake hands with those who wished it, and to allow himself to be punched and pulled and pat and thumped, so that people might make sure he was really real. The other children sat on a bench and watched and waited, and were very bored indeed. It seemed to them that this was the hardest way of earning money that could have been invented, and only 15 shillings. Bill had taken 4 times that already, for the news of the giant had spread, and tradespeople in carts and gentlepeople in carriages came from far and near. One gentleman with an eyeglass and a very large yellow rose in his buttonhole offered Robert, in an obliging whisper, £10 a week to appear at the Crystal Palace. Robert had to say no. "I can't," he said regretfully. "It's no use promising what you can't do." "Ah, poor fellow, bound for a term of years, I suppose. Well, here's my card. When your time's up, come to me." "I will, if I'm the same size then," said Robert truthfully. "If you grow a bit, so much the better," said the gentleman. When he had gone, Robert beckoned Cyril and said, "Tell them I must and will have a rest, and I want my tea." Tea was provided, and a paper hastily pinned on the tent. It said, "Close for half an hour while the giant gets his tea." Then there was a hurried council. How am I to get away?" said Robert. I've been thinking about it all the afternoon. Why walk out when the sun sets, and you're your right size? They can't do anything to us." Robert opened his eyes. "Why, they'd nearly kill us," he had, "when they saw me get my right size. No, we must think of some other way. We must be alone when the sun sets." "I know," said Cyril briskly, and he went to the door outside, which Bill was smoking a clay pipe and talking in a low voice to Becca. Cyril heard him say, "Good as having a fortune left you." "Look here," said Cyril, "you can't let people come in again in a minute. He's nearly finished tea, but he must be left alone when the sun sets. He's very queer at that time of day, and if he's worried, I won't answer for the consequences." Why what comes over him?" asked Bill. "I don't know. It's sort of a change," said Cyril candidly. "He isn't at all like himself. You'd hardly know him. He's very queer indeed. Someone will get hurt if he's not alone about sunset." This was true.
Okay.
He'll
Well done. Okay. Yep. Excellent.
Okay.
Very nicely read. Well
Thank you.
done. Okay, a couple of words and just a little bit of feedback on intonation. Okay. But you also get a smiley, so don't worry about that. Okay, so when you say 3 pence, it would be written as 2 separate words. Okay, 3 pence. That would be modern money. That would be money we have today. Because we don't have euros, remember. We've got pounds and pence. So that would be 3 pence. But this is old money. And believe it or not, even though it looks like 3 pence, we pronounce it threepence. Threepence.
Oh,
Yeah,
threepence.
Threepence, yeah. But don't worry about it, because nobody... I've got some old threepenny bits in my coin collection, It's a very small coin collection, but I've got some old threepences there, so that's how I know. And we used to have this threepenny bit, and yeah, it's no longer legal tender. I can't spend it, but I collected them. So the next one is patted. To pat somebody, he patted him.
Okay,
You
patted.
Yeah, you probably pat your dog on the head. Yeah, you pat him. He always knows when I talk about him. Okay, so you pat your dog on the head to pat, and it just becomes it's a regular verb. It becomes patted in the past tense. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
And then obliging, to oblige. It's that
Obliging.
soft G, yeah? To oblige someone.
Jason.
To be obliging.
Obliging.
That's it.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. It's really difficult with, when do you use the G, the hard G, when do you use the soft G? You just have to learn the words, I'm afraid, okay? Then the next one, by ones and twos and threes.
By ones and twos and threes.
Yeah, it sounds odd because you've got 1, 2, 3. Why are they making them plural? And that's because they went in singly. Several people went in singly. Several people went in as couples, and several people went in as families. Ones and twos and threes. Okay. Okay, and then the next one is just about intonation. On her afternoon out. An afternoon out is literally a trip away during the afternoon. Okay, so on her afternoon out.
Okay, on her afternoon out.
Yeah, that's it. We went on an afternoon out. It means we went on a picnic, we went out for a meal for the whole afternoon. Okay? Okay, good. But nicely read. Nicely read. Good. I'm just looking, and you get a smiley for thumped. Well done.
So to breathe while reading.
To thump someone. Thumped. Good. Well done.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. And the next person to read is Shiny. I'm just looking.
Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, because I've forgotten to ask you, and of course April has noticed about the soothing because I haven't found it.
Okay, let's have a look.
A curtain.
Something.
That was a curtain.
Something.
Ah, something. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I do have to apologise.
I could say strike me pink in this context.
Yes. Yeah, if you look at the actual stick out a curtain or something. So stick out a curtain or something. Okay. It makes sense, doesn't it, when you think about it? Something is also often summit. Okay. And again, it's dialect. If you're in areas where they speak like that, and people still do, can you pass me a screwdriver or summit? Okay. So, Shiny, it is your turn. And we're at this point. So, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. He'll pull round for the evening, I suppose. Oh, yes. Half an hour after sunset, he'll be quite himself again. Best humor him, said the woman. And so, at what Cyril judged was about half an hour before sunset, the tent was again closed, whilst the giant gets his supper. The crowd was very merry about the giant's meals, and they're coming so close together. Well, he can pick a bit. Bill owned. You see, he had to eat hearty, being the size he eats. Inside the tent, the four children breathlessly arranged the plan of retreat. You go now, said Cyril to the girls, and get along home as fast as you can. Oh, never mind the beastly pony cart. We'll get that tomorrow. Robert and I are dressed the same. We'll manage somehow like Sidney Carden did. Only you girls must get out, or it's no go. You can run, but you can't, whatever you may think. No, Jen, it's no good Robert going out and knocking people down. The police would follow him till he turned his proper size, and then arrest him like a shot. Go, you must. If you don't, I'll never speak to you again. It was you got us into this mess, really. Hanging around people's legs the way you did this morning. Go, I tell you. And Jen and Thea went. We're going home, they said to Bill. We're leaving the giant with you. Be kind to him. And that, as Anthea said afterwards, was very deceitful. But what were they to do? When they had gone, Cyril went to Bill. Look here, he said. He wants some ears of corn. There's some in the next field but one. I'll just run and get it. Oh, yes, he says. Can't you loop up the tent at the back a bit? He says he's stifling for a breath of air. I'll see no one peeps in at him. I'll cover him up, and he can take a nap while I go for the corn. He will have it. That's no holding him when he gets like this. The giant was made comfortable with a heap of decks and an old tarpaulin. The curtain was looped up, and the brothers were left alone. They matured their plan with whispers. Outside, the merry-go-round played out its comic tunes, screaming now and then to attract public notice. Half a minute after the sun had set, a boy in a Norfolk suit came out past Bill. I'm off for the corn, he said, and mingled quickly with the crowd. At the same instant, a boy came out of the back of the tent past. Becca posted here as sentinel. I'm off after the corn, said this boy also, and he, too, moved away quietly and was lost in the crowd. The front door boy was Cyril. The back door was Robert. Now, since sunset, once more his proper size, they walked quickly through the field and along the road, where Robert caught Cyril up. Then they ran. They were home as soon as the girls were, for it was a long way, and they ran most of it. It was indeed a very long way, as they found then when they had to go and drag the pony trap home next morning with no enormous Robert to wheel them in it as if it were a mail cart. And they were babies, and he was their gigantic nursemaid. I cannot possibly tell you that Bill and Becca said when they found the giant had gone. For one thing, I do not know.
Very good. Well done. Awesome. Okay, so nicely read. A couple of words and a couple of smileys too. So good job. Bear with me a second. Let's put them up. So the first, it is a smiley day, yeah. So the first word there is stifling, from to stifle. If the weather is stifling, it means you can hardly breathe. It's so hot, you feel like you can't breathe. You're being stifled. So stifling, try it.
Stifling.
Good. And the next one is matured, like a cheddar cheese.
Mature.
Matured. You've got to get the dirt at the end because it's in the past, the verb. Okay?
Matured.
That's it. And then the next one, sentinel.
Sentinel.
Yeah, it's like standing guard. If you're a sentinel, you're guarding something. Okay? And then, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Bear with me a second. Ooh. That's my early morning sneeze gone. Okay. And then quietly.
Quietly.
Yeah, so to be quiet, but to do something quietly. No, don't confuse it. Yeah, don't confuse it with quite. So you've got quite. So you could say she was quite quiet. Try that.
She was quite quiet.
Very good. Perfect. And then you get your smileys for afterwards.
Afterwards.
Yeah. Tarpaulin.
Tarpaulin.
And enormous.
Enormous.
Very good. Well done. April's complaining because I didn't give her any smileys. That's because you're reading so good, April. Here's a smiley.
You have to make a mistake by design and then correct yourself and you will get a smiley.
Exactly. But don't do that, please, because oh dear, we'd run out of time. Okay, Reem.
Yes.
Yay, you've got voice. Good.
Yes. Hello.
You are grey again. In fact, we've got 3 grey people today. We've got Reem and Dope and Shiny are all grey today. It's very strange. So I'll just spray your bushes and film myself. Okay, Reem, whenever you're ready, if you would like to start reading, okay?
Yes, I will start. Chapter 9. Growing Up. Cyril had once pointed out that ordinary life is full of occasions on which which would be most useful, and this thought followed his mind when he happened to walk early on the morning after Roberts had wished to be bigger than the baker's boy, and had been it. The day that lay between these 2 days had been occupied internally by getting the governess part home from Penninghurst. Cyril dressed hastily. He did not take pause because 10 passes are so noisy, and he had no wish to rouse Robert, and he slipped off alone, as Antia had once done, and ran through the dew morning to the sand bed. He dug up the summit very carefully and kindly, and began the conversations by asking if whether it still felt any ill effects from the contact with the tires of Robert the day before yesterday. The summit was in good timber. It replayed boldly. And now, what can I do for you? It said. I suppose you've come here so early to ask for something for yourself, something your brothers and sisters aren't to know about you. Yeah, yeah. Now, do be presided for your own good. Ask for good fat, mixer, and have done with it. Thank you. Not today, I think, said Sarah. Caught, courteously. What I really want to say was, you know how you're always wished for things when you're playing at anything. I seldom play.
Okay, I think that your voice is gone.
Want to tell us have our wish just when we think of it, and just where we happen to be, so that we don't have to come and disturb you again, added to craftily Cyril.
Okay.
I only...
Good. Yep.
Yeah.
Stop. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me add that one word at the end. And so a few little words and a little phrase. Okay. Now the first three words, they're all the same. They have the silent E. Okay. So let's do them all together. Wished, dressed, slipped.
Wish, dressed, slipped.
That's it. Again, these silent E's, you just have to get used to them. You learn them just by being aware that, yeah, doubled up letters, the SH, double P, double S tend to be silent E. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. When you've got a harder sound like like a T, double T, like wetted, then you've got the voiced E. But really, there's no hard and fast rule. Just be aware of them, practice them. I wish, I wished. I get dressed every morning. I slipped on a banana. Okay, the next one is from the verb to occupy. To occupy. And then it becomes occupied.
Occupied.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. So I'm occupying this rocking chair at the moment. The rocking chair is occupied. Okay, the next one is from entire, and it's entirely.
Entirely.
Yeah, entirely, not internally, entirely. It means incomplete, so completely, entirely. It was entirely finished. Yeah, the whole thing had gone. Then baths.
Okay.
Baths.
Bath.
That's it. You go for a bath instead of a shower, and baths. Okay. The next one, it's got a U in it, so it's not a rose, it's rouse.
Rouse.
If you rouse someone, you can make them angry, or you can just wake them up. Okay, the next one is sandpit, not sandbed, sandpit.
Sandpit. I have a problem, I think, between P and P.
You do, yes. Most people who speak Arabic do, because there's no, the sound doesn't exist. So it's just something, it's very easy because it's like a B, but with more air. P, B. But you have to just practice.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next one is tears, not
Tires?
Tears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tears.
You know,
Tears.
you know,
Tears.
and think about it. You know the word ear, yeah? So
Yeah.
you've got tear. Now don't confuse that with the verb to tear, okay, which means to rip, okay? But again, context.
Yeah.
Context. I tear up the piece of paper. You know that's not going to be tear. She cried a tear. You know that's not going to be tear. So you have to look at context in those circumstances. But the word is tears.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
Tears. Tears.
that's it. And then the next word is from to reply. Replied.
Replied.
Good. The next one is from to be polite. And it's just politely. Yeah.
Politely.
Now the next one is a voiced E. Persuaded.
Yeah, can say it again, Lynn?
Yeah. Well, it's from the verb to persuade. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Persuade.
Yes.
And it's persuaded.
Yes, silent R. Is that right? Persuaded.
Persuaded. Yeah.
Persuaded.
That's it. Then the next one is from cautious. To be cautious. To do something
Yeah.
cautiously.
Cautiously.
That's it. Yeah. Cautiously. You cautiously cross the road if it's very busy. You have to be cautious. Then
Okay.
Then disturb.
Disturb.
Yeah. I hope I'm not disturbing you. And the last one, crafty.
Crafty.
Not crafty.
Crafty.
Crafty. Yeah, crafty. It's sneaky.
Sneaky.
Crafty.
Yeah.
Good.
Craft.
And this next one, it's a little bit of a tongue twister. Occasions on which a wish.
Occasions on which a wish.
Yeah, what you've got to do, you've got to get the hard ch sound on which and the soft sh sound on wish. So on which a wish.
On which a wish.
Perfect. Yay. Well done.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Leon. I tired you every time.
No worries. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Okay, so we've got through the list we had at the beginning, but I'm going to ask Artem if you'd like to read. Artem, do you want to read?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Okay.
He opened the castle and used the whole thing as a garden spade.
Hey, wait, where are you?
Under the picture.
Okay, we're above the picture. I'll tell you what, said the Samayed suddenly.
Oh, I just proceed. I will tell.
Okay.
I will tell you what. Said the plus up summoned suddenly, shooting out its long-nailed eyes. I am getting tired of you, all of you. You have no more sense that so many oysters go along with you. And Cyril went. What an awful long time, babies, stayed Cyril. After the lamp had taken his watch out of his pocket while he wasn't noticing, and with the coos and clucks of naughty rapture had opened the case and used the whole thing as a garden spade, and when even immersion in a wash basin had failed to wash the mold from the work and make the watch go again, Cyril had said several things in the heat of the moment, but now he was calmer and had ever consulted to carry the lamp part of the way to the woods. Cyril had persuaded the others to agree to his plan and not to wish for anything more till they really did wish it. Meantime, it seems good to go to the woods for nuts, and on the mossy grey grass under the sweet chestnut tree, the five were sitting. The lamp was pulling up the moss by fat handfuls, and Cyril was gloomily contemplating the ruins of his watch. He opened the case and used the whole thing as a garden spade. He does grow, said Ansia. Doesn't too, precious. Me grow, said the lamp cheerfully. Me grow big boy, have gun and mouth and an imagination of vocabulary gave out here, but anyway, it was the longest speech the lamp had ever made, and it charmed everyone, even Cyril, who tumbled the lamp over and rolled him in the moss to the music of delighted squeal. I suppose he will be grown up someday, Ansa was saying dreamily, looking up at the blue of sky that showed between the long, straight chestnut leaves. But at that moment the lamp, struggling gaily with Cyril, thrust of shoot little foot against his brother's chest. There was a crack. The innocent lamp had broken the glass of father's second best Waterbury wash, which Sean had borrowed without leave. Grow up someday, said Sirin bitterly, plumping the lamp down on the glass. I dare say he will when nobody wants him to. I wish to goodness he would. Oh, take care, cried Ansa, in agony of apprehension. But it was too late, like music. I don't know, I just can't proceed for it. I need to drink, I think. Like music to strong her words, and Sirius came out together. Answer, Oh, take care, Cyril. Grown up now. The faithful policeman was true to its promise, and there, before the horrified eyes of its brothers and sisters, the lamb suddenly and violently grew up. It was the most terrible moment. The change was not so sudden as the wish changed usually were. The baby's face changed first. It grew thinner and larger. Lines came in the forehead. Eyes grew more deep-set and darker in color. The mouth grew longer and thinner. Most terrible of all, the little dark mustache appeared on the lip of one who was still, except as to the face. A 2-year-old baby is lined smoke and white open work socks.
Very good.
Oh,
well
I
done.
wish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Stop. Well done. Bear with me 1 second. Just that little last phrase. Yeah, I think put that there. Okay, so you've got a smiley, a couple of words, and a couple of phrases. Well done. It is difficult reading out loud, isn't it? Because you suddenly realise it's always as well to have a glass of water with you when you're doing these sessions. Okay.
No, I didn't drink today, I think, because of that.
Oh, you should always be hydrated. Okay. The first one isn't work, it's works. You've got to get this at the end. Works.
Works?
Yeah. He works.
Works.
She works. Yeah, it works. So you've got to get the works of the
Work.
clock. Yeah. Works. Okay. Then the next one is a long E sound, like eat. It's heat.
Heat.
Yeah, long E, heat. Okay. Then nuts. Again, nuts.
Nuts.
That's it. Oh,
Nuts.
Here we go, gathering nuts in May. Okay, the next one, lamb. Be careful, because if you let a little bit more air out at the end, it will sound like lamp. So lamb, not lamp.
Lamb.
Lamb. Yeah, no lumber. Yeah, it's not like the lambada. Lamp. Lamp. Let's have a look. It was a lamb-shaped lamp. Try that sentence.
It was a lamb-shaped lamp.
It was a lamp-shaped lamp.
It was a lamp-shaped lamp.
Yeah, okay. That's better. Getting there. It was getting there. Okay. The next one is to squeal. She squeals. Squeals, yeah. Not squirrels.
Squirrels.
Yeah. Okay, so then the name is Anthea.
Anthea.
Anthea, yeah.
Anthea.
It's a funny one, I know.
Anthea.
Good. And then this is just a phrase. When something is shod, it means there's a shoe on it. So you shod a horse. A shod horse has horseshoes on it. And here they're using that as a sort of a play on the words to say that the baby has got shoes on. So, a stout shod little foot.
A shout.
Stout.
Shoot.
Not shout.
Oh.
Stout.
Stout shoot.
Stout shod.
Stout shoot. Stout shod. Stout shod little foot.
That's it. Well done. Stout again can mean heavily built. Yeah. If you're stout, it's not quite fat because it could be all muscle. Yeah, but it's just describing the foot. It's like little chubby foot. Stout shod little foot. And then again, this is a strange construction. I think the words on their own you're fine with, but the construction is different. It's strange. So white open work socks.
White open work socks.
That's it. Open work socks is the way they've been knitted, so they're sort of lacy little white socks. You can imagine a grown person in a smock and little white lacy socks would look quite strange, I think. Ah, yes. It's also a verb to shoe a horse. Yeah, to shoe a horse. Okay. Okay, good. And then
Only for a horse, Lynn, not for
you wouldn't
people?
shoe a person, no, because it's got this implication that the shoe is on permanently. Okay. Oh, okay, tough guy. I was about to ask you, but okay, no problem. I hope you enjoyed the session. And then you get a smiley for precious. My precious. Anybody who's watched Lord of the Rings should know precious. What's he got in the pockets is precious. So there's your smiley. Well done. Okay, so as tough guys had to go, that's it for today. I think we've run out of time anyway, but I was going to say, come on, I've got the time. But yep, we can finish now, and hopefully next week we'll all be back. I should be here next week, I think. We're getting to a time where you'll need to keep an eye on the calendar. Oh, and I forgot to say in Monday Live Chat today that Thursday's Speakeasy is cancelled because I'm at a concert. Okay, so sorry about that. I'd put it in my notes and then I forgot to look at my notes. It's all right having notes, but if you don't look at the notes, they're useless. But yes, next week we should be here. So I'll hopefully see some of you, if not all of you, next week, and we'll carry on. We're getting close to the end now, by the way. So,
Thank you, Leon.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Next week will be from, oh, I wish it wouldn't. Oh, I wish it wouldn't. Oh, dear. Too late. Can't take back a wish. Can't take back a wish, can you?
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
What are you going to do? You have nothing to study anymore.
Oh, I'm still doing
You are
my
already
German.
graduated. You're already graduated.
No, I've got a lot to learn still. Having a certificate, as you all know, does not mean a thing. No, I'm carrying on studying German, but at the B2 level to B2 C1 level now, so which is probably more my level, to be honest. Bye, Mars. Thanks for coming. Thanks for taking part as well. And Dope, well done.
Bye.
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 Bye, bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, Shiny. Bye, Reem. Take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.